Celtic Woman are an all-female Irish musical collective. They are basically several singers and a violinist. They were formed in 2004 for a one-off event and were popular enough to become a permanent thing. They have released 29 albums to date. Their turnover of members has been quite impressive, not just for the different number of members they've had, but for their ability to go in and out of the group. Most extreme is a lady whose name I have no idea how to pronounce, who has done 9 stints. Ho, 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 my name's Dan. Uh, and for Christmas Day, I thought I would review a Christmas album. Um, so most of the reviews on this channel are, well, I've got this big list of the 3,000 greatest albums of all time, according to an amalgamation from critics' lists that has been done at a website called Acclaim Music. And I'm working my way through, and I am 2/5 of the way through this, just about at the moment. Uh, Occasionally, though, I step off that, and I thought Christmas would be a good reason to step off my list. And I thought I'd have a look at some of the new releases for Christmas this year and pick one. And this is the one that I picked. I checked a couple of others out, but I decided to go for this one. So Celtic Woman, as a group, collective, have existed for 20 plus years, and this is, as far as I can work out, their 11th Christmas album, which is quite incredible. I think they've found themselves a market here. Um, Curious if they keep repeating themselves with the tracks that they're doing, the songs that they cover. But I'm not curious enough to go looking myself, to be honest, for that. So, how would I describe this album? Probably as Celtic Baroque pop. So, it's or easy listening is one of those terms that can be thrown around. So easy listening is kind of big orchestral backing, especially strings, and kind of really perfectly done everything, but with a Celtic flavour. There's some Irish folk instruments in here, particularly fiddle, and then with some singing, and it's 3 or 4 different women. It's quite a kind of blasting sound generally that they've got, and I liken this to stuff. I mean, there has been stuff like this all the way through the years, I guess. Andy Williams, Michael Ball, and I guess to a lesser extent Frank Sinatra, but it's kind of the big orchestral back, big singer kind of thing, show like, and the Celtic women do have a connection with Riverdance, which was very much a show, and it's designed to be a show with a big sound. So the tracks here vary from slow and quite syrupy to majestic and almost operatic, to a few faster things. As I say, it's all very kind of show-like. There is one instrumental here, so on an album that is definitely focused on the vocals, it's interesting to have an instrumental, which is kind of quick Irish reel tunes in a traditional way. So there's this is what I think of being the core of Celtic music is fairly fast tune done and usually stacked 2 to 3 of them together, one after the other. And this comes from the tradition of doing this for dancing, ceilidh dancing, sometimes not quite so accurately called band dancing, which has some similarities to square dancing, but it's not done in a square mostly. But it's a called dancing tradition. So that is something that I'm very familiar with, and I feel very comfortable, and I enjoy that kind of thing. The voices here, mm, yeah, really beautiful. I mean, this is the selling point. It's the core of what they do. Is these beautiful vocals? It does feel like the whole thing is focused on vocal quality over, say, depth of feeling, but not entirely. So I would say so. As I always do, I listened through the album twice for my review, and both times I would say that initially at the start I was somewhat put off by the kind of show feel and maybe the kind of feeling of superficiality to it. But both times I got drawn in. And towards the end of the album, I was buying into it more in terms of the emotional aspects, especially. And then it finishes with Auld Lang Syne. And actually, I was feeling quite emotional by that. So it's got some effectiveness to it. It's very Christmas. It's very easy to listen to, and it's quite pleasant. So we've got several traditional carols here. So, like in the Bleak Midwinter, God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, Silent Night, Wexford Carol. We've got some Christmas songs like Silver Bells and Little Drummer Boy, which I guess kind of bridges the gap between the two. We've got a few Irish tracks with Irish Gaelic names. So I'm going to call it Irish because apparently that's what their preferred term is in Ireland. So I don't know if these songs are originals or traditional. At least one is sung in Irish, which is utterly beautiful. I love Gaelic languages. I've listened to quite a bit of Scots Gaelic. I do not understand any of it at all, but it's got a nice flow and feel to it. And then when you do it in a beautiful voice, it just adds a whole load of stuff. There's a nice song which is so in the Bleak Midwinter then turns into it has this second song tacked onto it, which is to the tune of Greensleeves, and it's called Going Home. And my initial thought was very, very personal about this, which is that my mum wrote a Christmas song to the tune of Greensleeves, and my immediate reaction, well, it's not my mum's song. Well, of course it isn't my mum's song. Um, but when I listen to the words, it's actually really beautiful. It's about death in a very positive way, so I like that. It finishes, as I said, with Auld Lang Syne, with the emotions emphasised, with several key changes. It keeps going up keys. So very playable, very Christmas, a bit show tune slash produced for me at times, but other times I really kind of bought into it. I certainly would prefer this to the endless Christmas hits like Wham and the Pogues and stuff like that. So I have a game that I play with myself. I'll just share this with you at Christmas, which is I see how long I can go without hearing Fairy Tale of New York. Because I mean, a few years ago it was everywhere. These days, not so much. Anyway, so this is what I think of this album, and I suspect that a lot of people haven't necessarily heard this album. So I would encourage you to go and have a look. Well, listen, and then let me know what you think of this. Oh, anything you want to say about Celtic Woman. I hope you have a good Christmas. For some of you, I'm sure it will be joyful. So some of you, there will be an element of sadness in that. I know that this is the case. Unfortunately, for some of you, it will be both. And I think whatever other media say about what the real meaning of Christmas is, I feel fairly confident that the real meaning of Christmas is to celebrate that God so loved the world that he sent his own son so that anyone who puts their trust in him will not truly die, but will have life eternal. Happy Christmas from me, and that's it from me for now.
It's coming on Christmas, they're cutting down trees, putting up reindeer, singing songs of joy and peace. I wish I